How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got a couple of missions. There's more of a main one, is the Quarry mission, which is a bit confusing, so I've sort of got a roughly dedicated video, but the first one I just wanted to quickly leave in was the building a swamp road. So it cuts across from like the main road over to the steel beams facility, which is pretty handy. I've kind of been winging it and cutting across the swampy bits, trying to sort of jump from the little mud islands, but yeah, brought an actual mission up to build a proper road. So send in the goddamn professional, recall all the vehicles. I cut most of this out. It was just to roughly a couple of things really. The last road I built with like the AI vehicles, the dump truck tipped over on me, and yeah, this is also the longest road I've had to build, and it goes over a power cable that I've laid before. So you are able to send the vehicles like one after the other, but the reason I specifically kept an eye on this was because you can see there the dump truck nearly falls over, and it's kind of gone all bit cockeyed and offline and all the rest of it, but the automation of it kind of keeps the sand line all like neat and all good. Yeah, and again, it's a pretty handy road to be honest. And on top of that, even once you've got this road built, you can still, especially now you've got all the dump truck and all the 4 vehicles you need to lay road, you could do T-junctions off it, you can make it twice as wide if you want, you could have like little sort of lanes peeling off onto the main road and all sorts. Yeah, this is where I laid the cable the other day. It's sort of like, tyres do sink in it a bit, but it's definitely there. But as far as this goes, it basically lays the road over it. It didn't really matter. I think at the end you can kind of tell a slight bump, but yeah. Overall, this actually went well, sending the AI vehicles to do it all automatically, whereas yeah, a couple of roads I've had previously, I don't know, I got the Chuckle Brothers doing my AI work on some roads, so it all went a bit disastrous. But yeah, considering this is the longest road and awkward across the swamp, even the dump truck was kind of probably had the toughest job since it was sent first, just across pure swampland, and it still made it. It definitely had a little wobble and it considered tipping, but thankfully it didn't. Yeah, I'll just keep an eye on the vehicles as they're going along. As the road completes, I believe it gets a bit wider, like the path, yeah, that you've squashed out, it sort of sits a bit wider than the roller, but yeah, that's all good. You can see a tiny little hump in the road, and once you've done that, the second part of this mission was to send these AI vehicles. Basically, rebuilding a radio tower. So obviously once you've got this road laid, yeah, send the AI vehicles. They're now bringing sections of the radio tower. And then the next mission is going to be, it's effectively like Kelly pops up and she's basically saying like, we build the radio towers but we don't say wire them all up and all the rest of it. So once it's built, you need to go and get some climbing equipment. The reason I left these few bits in though is because the AI vehicles, for whatever reason, like these trucks have actually been pretty solid for me on various other maps, but for whatever reason on this one, they were struggling with this hill. There's kind of 2 ways round heading to this workshop area. Both of them roughly result in a hill about this steep, and even though the road doesn't look that boggy, yeah, they just keep wheel spinning. I believe they've got like both rear axles are driven, but it seemed more like the inner axle, sort of the middle axle, was just bleeding most of the power. I got them all queued up. They were not happy about it, and then yeah, kind of reset the mission. I now went on the different road, which you can see, in fact I'd even say it looks less slopey really, but for whatever reason they're all still wheel spinning. One of them at least is a bit of a goddamn professional. He's trying to go for the overtake. Again, I'll have to bump his wages up. Yeah, he's just like, fuck it, cut in front of everyone. You can see behind me as well, I didn't leave the footage in, but I've placed a wooden bridge there. It was where I got the, what was it called, the Voron stuck, and the Loaf rescued it when I was delivering stuff to the power substation. So anyway, that's that mission done. I just wanted to mention that those trucks are a bit awkward, but thankfully once they're there, like, you've cashed it in really. Right, so yeah, bring climbing equipment to the workshops. That's where Kelly was basically saying before the hurricane that hit, there was climbing equipment and all sorts because there was some fossils found in the quarry. Long story short, I need to pick that up and take it over to where those trucks just went, that's at the south of the map. So other people, not me, can turn up and wire up the radio towers I've just delivered all the parts for. I already knew, because it's sort of saying find the container. And as you look around the quarry, you can just tell one container stands out, which is that one. But I didn't really know how this mission was going to go. So I went from the Highland base, I'm kind of following my marker along the map, Apologies, it's probably a little bit quick. I'm going to use the new road I've built. This goddamn horse chilling on the side. Yeah, this mission's a bit confusing for a couple of reasons. One, when you actually get there, it says you're in the search area, but I can't fire out like search pulses or anything with this vehicle. But the other thing is, there's kind of like, the road is blocked by, it looks like they were building foundations and it's all flooded with water, and you can't really get across. And yeah, the mission doesn't particularly explain. I kind of like in the end that it works out this way, but nonetheless it could easily be missed, or you might end up trying to find multiple different ways to work around kind of what's going on. Again, if this thing was a bit quicker with the gears, it would be nice, or just give us a bloody high range. But yeah, once it gets motoring, it's not the end of the world. And like I say, yeah, originally, you can see in the top right corner it says reach location. Like, it didn't specifically say I was going to have to scan or anything. And I already found the container, it's just obvious which one it was going to be. And those big slabs, by the way, I was already eyeing them up. And then when I got here, yeah, it said in search area. And as you can see, that route's blocked. I also spanned the camera around because it was like, they look like they should be part of it. So I reversed the crane over, extended it, tried to look for winch points if I could pick them up. It said nothing, offered me no winch points, just wouldn't let me pick them up. So I parked up, I tested to see if like the different bridges I can build. They don't fit as far as like that first bit goes. I was able to stretch it over the whole thing. That's what she said. But it just didn't look right, and I don't know, there was something about it I wasn't really too keen on it. So step 2, I brought the Land Rover because regardless, it's now I'm in a search area and it says find object. Again, I was eyeballing them big concrete slabs, and that's why I specifically drove near them and fired off that like object scanner to see if it'd pick them up as something that's like part of the mission. Again, panning the camera around like So I thought, well, sod it, I'll maybe you're supposed to cut up this way, like you're certainly not really getting a truck up here or anything, but I've kind of figured there's a little gap at the edge here. The turning circle's not too bad on this Land Rover, plus it's sort of gonna skid its way around one way or another. Now, this is where you can tell though, the game's definitely, I don't think this is a bad thing, it just might catch you out. It's heading towards, it's not telling you every little thing, like it's not spoon feeding you everything, because it sort of did at the start. You tend to get comfortable thinking, oh, it'll tell me what it is it wants me to do. Again, another reason high gear or something would be nice. I just want to jump this tiny little gap, but the lack of oomph as it's climbing its way through the auto gears, it just rolled off there like a wet fart and got stuck immediately. Thought I'll fire off a few more object scanners, but again, I knew already that it was going to be that container that's way further down in the quarry. Brought the loaf. You'll notice there was a little gap to the right of the screen, and again, I'm eyeballing those concrete slabs as I'm driving past. Because I'd fired off that object scanner, it's like if there was an object, it'd kind of show up as like a little thing on top of the object or whatever. So yeah, that's why I sort of keep eyeballing them concrete slabs just to see if it has flagged them. And see, this is what I like about the loaf. I got here and he couldn't reach with a winch. Then you wait 5 seconds, and it's like the loaf just goes, oh, what, you need a longer winch? I'll get a longer winch, and then yeah, a few seconds later it reaches, even though the loaf didn't get any closer. So started dragging this thing out of there. I mean, in theory, look, I probably could get the loaf up there, because there's kind of, just before the edge, there's like a few rocks and that, but turning circle-wise, the loaf wouldn't do too well going around that corner. But the fact that he's tracked, he probably could. I've got confidence he'll wiggle his way up there. So, jumped over a different gap that was a little bit better. Keep firing off these object scanners just while I'm driving along, but I was already pretty convinced, hence why I just started steering over here straight away. And yeah, this is the quarry, and again, it sort of should have occurred to me, but I was just kind of going through the motions. Got here, found the container, did the object scanner thing. Obviously it's going to want me to take it somewhere, and I knew it wouldn't, but I attached a winch to it and kind of to prove to myself, well, the Land Rover isn't going to really do sod all getting that thing out of here, which put me back to square one. Like, well, I've finally got into the quarry, but I still need to get a mule in that can carry that, and I'm not going to get up that gap that I did with the Land Rover. Just to throw out as well, thanks to Chris WWXF. He's the one who told me about this. For some reason, like, the loose caught on, I think there's like a hitbox thing on that shed thing I'm on. I attached the winch, and you can see there, you've got aim winch is R1, and then mobile base functions. When you've got the winch attached, I think it's R1 you press, and it'll bring up, it says towing off, and then if you press X, it turns it on. And that makes, when you attach a winch to another vehicle, that makes it behave more like in SnowRunner, where it'll follow you, it'll steer with you. And in this case, I attached it and was hitting reverse, and the Mule T1 was then reversing, putting in a pretty good effort, I will say, and was helping pull me off. Don't remember what she said. Yeah, but again, thanks to Chris for letting us know, because he reckons, and I agree, that they didn't add it until after the patch update 1.5, because I certainly didn't notice it either. And when I was first going through the menus, like, I paid a lot closer attention, but then you just get used to what you can and can't do. Yeah, I believe they added it in the patch. Nonetheless, though, it's very handy, because other than, like, the vehicle will actually drive with you. Like, I've tried towing vehicles before, and they leave the handbrake on. If you switch using, like, you hold the big fat square pad in the middle of the PS4, they automatically put the handbrake on, and then they don't steer, and it's just a pain in the arse. But yeah, enter that menu, press towing on, and it'll now steer, drive with you, obviously not leave the handbrake on. If you reverse, it'll reverse. If you stop, it'll stop, instead of just rolling and crashing into you. So yeah, it was time. I thought, right, sod it, I'm sending in the goddamn professional. He made it up that hill, because again, he's a beast. I actually got up here, I went around a really long, awkward way through the trees. But on top of these red containers, the one that's on the right, as we're looking now, has a toy bulldozer or whatever it was on top of there that you can sell for 10 grand. So I collected it earlier. There was also a forklift in the quarry, kind of where my mule is parked at the minute. But yeah, you can see these ramps, and then there's those concrete blocks, and I kind of had a feeling, so I was like, right, I'm sending in the loaf. Bumped into them, and thankfully they started tipping. I was like, well, that's a good sign, because I thought if I just face plant into them and they don't move, that's going to pretty conclusively confirm that they're not of any use. Yeah, tipped them over, put my handbrake on, kind of surfed the loaf down there. And at this point, I still didn't necessarily know if they were going to be of any use, but you can see, like, the water that's blocking you, it's got one big slab in the middle, but either side's got nothing. And these seemed a little bit conspicuous, just sat over there, and the fact that there was a ramp and it looked like you might be able to push them over, I figured I'll come back with a mule, just check, just in case, and this time it gave me winch points for them. Personally, I think I was close enough last time, so maybe they don't activate until you tip them off. But nonetheless, I just changed, like, the mode, because I only have one winch, not all four. But yeah, they're surprisingly easy to pick up. I haven't even got my anchors out at that point. And as you can see, they're, yeah, pretty massive. But again, the crane's moving them around, it's not flopping me around like mad. The only possibility I could assume is, like, further in the game you can unlock bigger cranes, but I'm not at that level yet, and on this map, unless maybe I went to Sunken first and completely completed that, I don't think I'd be at a high enough level to unlock a bigger crane anyway, so this is really all I've got, or that original crane it gives you, but I'd argue these are quite small cranes for the size of this concrete slab. Yeah, so I drove up here though, got my anchors out, which is kind of getting in the way a little bit at the minute, if I'm honest. I kind of want to square it up and make it a bit more flush. You can sort of see there's like a step on each side of those concrete beams that are going across the water. You sort of, if you can, want to make it sit flush within them. So I did a little reversing, didn't put my anchors out this time, just to hopefully, like, tweak it the last little bit. It's almost tipping me, really, like, as I sort of let go there, so I don't tip. It fell in the water. Got my anchors back out, though, because by now I thought, even if it just butts up against the anchor, that'll do. Bit of faffing around as usual. It wouldn't quite drop down. The crane, I think, again, it's butting up against my anchor, so it wouldn't quite sit flush. So move again a bit. See, this is where, like, if this thing had if vehicles had winches, I could have done this a lot quicker, but I've got to enter back into the crane menu, move that over, but then you can, at least, worst case, you can make the crane on this behave a little bit like a winch in emergencies. But yeah, pulled it a bit nearer towards me. It kind of fell down, sat flush on like the little step. And yeah, things are looking good. Go back, bag myself another one. And at this point, I kind of figured the problem you got really is even though this crane's not bad, it's got decent reach for most situations. But yeah, it's getting the slab like away from the profile of my truck. So I specifically drove this way because I wanted to lay it on my sideboard like this and then reverse up, which in theory at least I mean preferably I'd sit sideways like I did with the first slab, but obviously I can't really do that because it's pretty narrow along the middle. So it's going to be a little bit more fiddling around, but again, I was feeling like, yeah, this clearly what they're for. I'm just surprised that the game, not surprised that it didn't mention them or anything, because they are kind of there, and again, I kept looking at them even before I knew I could do this or anything. Just the fact that, yeah, I'm assuming like this is the crane equipment that we're going to have to do it with for the most part, like I say, unless people have gone a different way about which maps they choose, and have got to a high enough level to buy like bigger purpose-built cranes. So I've got the crane extended at maximum length. I couldn't really do a lot more. Reverse the truck as much as I could. Again, it's a bit of a pain because you've got to exit the crane mode just to drive forward a little bit. Enter the crane mode again. This time I thought, right, I'll go for the reverse. I'll balance one wheel on that beam. I knew it was going to tip, but I kind of figured as long as we don't completely just tip and roll into the water. Getting the anchors out, thankfully, to be fair, the anchors in this game are very in control. Like once you get them out, they're actually like quite prominent, and they do have quite a big effect on stabilising the vehicle. More so than SnowRunner. SnowRunner still help, but these ones are very sort of, yeah, they do what they say on the tin. But again, one of my anchors is kind of in the way at this point, which I can't really do a lot because, again, the maximum reach of the crane practically only allows me to just about get this slab like over my anchor to begin with. But a little bit of faffing around, a little easier this time. I've got it kind of on that step again, so it sort of sits flush with the top. Even though you can see those like cutouts and hoops in the concrete beam that's lining it, they don't really, your wheels, as far as I remember, don't dip into them or anything. Yeah, done though. Pack the crane, have a little drive over it, see how it's going. And it's felt pretty good, pretty stable. And yeah, I kind of drove out there, stopped because I don't even think I saved the footage in the end, but then I was like, yeah, what am I doing? I've kind of almost considered it job done. A little wobble there with the slab, but they settled down. I think that one did wobble at some point when I drove the loaf over it as well, but they didn't move really or anything other than that. They seem pretty in place now. Yeah, I was almost considering it like mission done. Forgot that I was still supposed to go into the quarry and actually get a box. Yeah, good enough though. The other options, by the way, I suppose you could have brought a dump truck and dumped sand in there, and theoretically it'd probably let you build a road, just dump enough sand and it lets you build a road on top of sand. So unless there's some specific, like, it wouldn't let me build sand near a bridge I built in a previous map, so unless there's something that would make the sand not appear to get dumped, it sort of falls into a void if you're not allowed to put it there. But yeah, I assume, I mean, even where I drove up with a Land Rover up those rocks, you could dump sand there and build like a ramp out of sand, really. So there's definitely options, but which is pretty cool because in theory I could have built a bridge. I just didn't think OCD wise it looked very good. I could dump sand somewhere to build some kind of pass to make it easier, or kind of, fingers crossed, find what you can on the map. It turns out those giant concrete slabs that was what was needed. Yeah, again, the crane wouldn't quite make this fit in the sideboard, but thankfully this time I had something to ram into that wasn't like the fence yesterday that just broke apart as soon as I rammed into it. So it wants me to drive over to that workshop, so I'm going to go pretty much the same route that I sent the AI vehicles, across my new swamp road. And yeah, I left the footage in for this. It's hard to tell how well it comes across on video versus like I actually drove this vehicle, but they've definitely nailed the the physics and the feel of the weight and the sponginess of the suspension as you kind of bounce around and sway left to right a bit. How well the vehicle's weighted low down so they don't tip really easily, even like little things. Strictly speaking, they could have made those concrete slabs insanely heavy and it'll tip your truck practically instantly unless you get your anchors out and all that. But they didn't, and I prefer it that way because I don't need the level of realism where it will just be a pain in the arse. I would still get those concrete slabs in place, but if they weighed stupid amounts and it was just awkward, I just would have spent, you know, half an hour there moving them. So little things like that, they seem to have got it quite well balanced. Again, I still personally would prefer a tiny bit more speed top end, but again, as you can see, once you're up in the auto gears, it's not too bad. By the way, I was swerving around on purpose there, but then at the last second I was like, oh, I kind of slipped off the side of the road. Didn't really want to risk rolling it. It wouldn't matter to just bring the loaf along. Well, I've got dump trucks and everything nearby, so it wouldn't have been a particularly scary rescue, but nonetheless. Oh yeah, as well, I ordered internet earlier. They've got, I believe I got the 400 megabits a second or whatever, so that should get that on the 26th of June. I didn't even realise we were in June, I don't know why. I thought it was the 4th of June today, or 5th now. 21 years ago today my dad died. It was 22 years ago, well now it's after midnight, it was technically yesterday. 22 years ago today I got punched in the face so hard my cheek broke in 4 places, so I've had metal plates. That's longer than half my life now. Pretty crazy. Yeah, while I was driving along, I don't even know why I did it to myself, and the bit that annoyed me is I was actually accurate on the ramps, but at the last second I like panic turned and skidded off the side and got myself stuck when I'm 152 metres away from my destination. The only reason I ended up leaving all this footage in, I've kind of clipped it down as best I could, but I just wanted to show the process of like the 5 stages of grief. It's like the 5 stages of loaf training, figuring out how to escape without, say, bringing a vehicle to help. Like again, I could just bring the loaf and it'd rip me right off here. But just testing different ways. So once I realised I was stuck, started moving the crane round. Didn't quite help. Did the anchors though, that pushed me a bit further away from the wall. Didn't help tip me off this thing, but it helped give enough room for the crane to have enough leverage to kind of get more perpendicular to the wall, so I could actually extend the crane and use it to try and push the body of my truck out more if I could. I was just needing to try and jiggle the front wheels particularly. Like you can see they're just touching the ground, but there's not enough grip to actually do anything. Tried the anchors again. I think at one point they did help me lean forward a bit, but not enough. You see the lorries in the background still struggling to get up that road, even though it's basically flat. I mean, this guy just drives past and ignores me. He's not getting a pay rise. At one point, I think it might have been then, I was trying, yeah, cycle target. I was trying to fire a winch out or something to the truck as it was driving past. Next step, I figured, like, there's a tyre on the floor, I'll pick that up, see if it can use it as a counterweight, a bit more weight over the front. I was seesawing, but again, not quite enough, not enough grip. Oh, that's where the anchors kind of really did seesaw me forwards. But yeah, not enough weight to actually get the front end down. And I'm running out of options, but I figured last thing to do, unstrap the cargo, get rid of that tyre. I'll use this climbing equipment, just the big box basically. Try and use that as a counterweight. Oh yeah, just quickly, I attached to the tyre underneath me. I knew it wouldn't, but you know, like you see Bugs Bunny pick his own ears up and he can pick himself up off the floor. I thought, I wonder if I attached to the tyre that's underneath my truck and winch it in, if it would somehow lever the front of my truck up. But yeah, I kind of just last minute test. Yeah, got the box, hung it over the front of the truck, and that was enough of a counterweight to get me out of there, but then I tipped over, or almost, but thankfully not 90 degrees or anything to where I stalled. So another thing to kind of escape. Put the crane legs out, use the crane to push against the floor to rock myself back. Just getting this back in, the bloody AI driver finally got himself unstuck from the hill. Drives straight at me like a maniac. Oh Jesus Christ, dude, don't roll me again for the 3rd time I'm going to be sat here struggling. Get it all strapped back in, and go and deliver it to the destination. Yeah, I'm hoping that internet I get, like, I believe best case I'm on about 87 megabits, but it might even, some of them are saying they do like 8 to 10 to 17 megabits or whatever it is, upload speed. So, whereas the one I've got is 400 download and upload, and it's only 20 quid a month. It's a company called GigaClear, never heard of them before. Before they even come around and install it for me, they're going to come around like a week before and install cables to bring it to my house and all sorts. Like, they seem to go to a lot of effort to... They're one of the few companies that actually cuts out BT and is laying their own cables, so... Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, anyway, get that dropped off. Kelly sort of turns up to say, deliver, I think drawing another AI route, but all pretty routine stuff. But yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to leave in. The quarry, figuring out the large slabs, and then just delivering, and I got myself stuck. Yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a loaf, and I'll be back soon.